All right, Next Level Podcast listeners, how are you doing? This is Kevin, and I am back. And today I am joined with Kash-Wayne Campbell out of New York. How's it going, Kash-Wayne?
It's going great, man. Going great. I'm very happy to be here on the Next Level Podcast.
Thanks, brother. Hey, man, I gotta say, you are the first guest with a hyphenated first name. So, should we KW? Do you go by Kash-Wayne? Do you go by Cash to Wayne? Like, what's the best way?
The funny thing is, people break it down and people break it up, whichever one you feel comfortable with. Some people call me Cash, some people call me Wayne, either or, awesome. Or some people just say the full name. It's up to you, whichever one you feel more comfortable with.
All right, man. I love it. Well, anyways, obviously that's not the topic of today's podcast, but the reason I wanted to have you on here today for our listeners is one of the things I really enjoy about this podcast. And the reason I do it is because it gives me the opportunity to learn from people and share those experiences with the rest of the real estate community. And you and I got to talking on the phone one day not too long ago where we're talking about like the ability to take your real estate agent business, if you will, or your job really as a realtor and turn it into a business, and how many of us don't really kind of take that up. And you were pretty passionate about that. And so I want to make sure we dive into that a little bit today. But before we do that, why don't you start? Give us a little bit of your background, like how long you've been in real estate, what you do before real estate. And the question I always got to ask is like, what the heck made you decide to get in real estate? Are you just crazy?
Well, just a little background on me. I've been an entrepreneur for over 15 years. I started very young. I started out as a club promoter. That's what I did. I started out doing teen jams. Then that evolved into doing, as I got older, obviously adult events. Adult events meaning adult parties, something that teach.
I hear you.
Like that, I did events for a very long time. Got really big here in the New York scene, and I a good friend of mine who I've known over 10 years now, Mr. Reese Kenshin, he was already in real estate, and I've really watched his success from going from where he lost all his money to then coming to building back up his wealth. And he always said to me, man, you should, I know that you promote parties and things like that. You have to worry if it rains, if people are going to show up, things like that. Get involved in real estate is less stressful. And I kept turning him down. I'm like, I don't see myself. It's too corporate for me. I'd rather stick with this over here. I'm making money and this is what I want to do. And one day he called me and said, man, you know what? You have no excuse now. It's the real estate courses are like $150 on Groupon. You just go sign up. Just go take the class. So I listened to him. After blowing him off for so long, I went, took the class, and I loved it. It's funny. I love the information. It's just so much that I didn't know about real estate, and that just really just kind of pulled me in. All of the different things that I've learned about real estate investment, things of that nature, just taking that course. And from there, I just kind of fell in love with it.
That's awesome. You talk about learning all that stuff about real estate, which I know is true because I was listening to you tell a story about learning about encroachments. And I think it was like a blueberry bush or blueberry tree.
Yes.
When you were growing up, right? You had a neighbor with an encroachment on your property and you guys didn't know that you could have done something about it. And then from that standpoint, so I think that's kind of cool how you took that, like you really did take it and like learn this information and go, okay, I can do something with this. So how long ago was that? When did you get into real estate?
That was 7 years ago. Till this day, about 7 years ago, I decided to take my friend up on that offer.
Awesome.
And within 7 years, it has been so much growth because I feel like I was watching The Secret the other night. You ever watched that, The Secret?
Yeah, I remember when it first came out. Yep.
Yeah, so I was watching. It's one of those things you got to keep watching, right? So I was watching it the other night, and I was thinking to myself, what made me as a new agent really push to get to that next level? I feel like, I was just in a position where I needed to be successful, so I just really just pulled it to me, and I worked really, really hard, and I loved what I was doing. I really pulled it, I feel, to me, if everyone understands what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's I was actually in an interview I was doing a few months ago. I I couldn't get this quote, but now I've got it. It's necessity is the mother of invention, right? Like when you have to do something, that's when you really get after it. And I love we get the opportunity, especially as entrepreneurs, but as people for sure, find out who we really are, what we're really made of when our back's against the wall, right?
Absolutely.
You know, I had a mentor used to say, like, what's in an orange when you squeeze it? What comes out? Orange juice. Like it's not orange juice. Why? Because that's what's inside. So when you squeeze something, what's inside comes out, right? And that's when you go and in your case, you went and made something really, really cool happen in real estate. So tell us about that career. So tell me about, like, you don't have to give me every detail and every highlight and low light, but so what was the first year like, second year like? And you're, you know, obviously the listeners don't know this yet, but you run a brokerage, all right? You're in management. You've also got a team and a business. So I want to kind of talk about the path to that. And then of course, talk about, you know, how others can do the same.
Yeah, I mean, you know, getting into the business obviously was, you know, it's a scary thing. Number one, I had a newborn baby, just left my job. I had to be successful. And I feel like those things, as you were saying, when my back was against the wall, you know, it really pushed me to be successful. What I did was I would come into the office. I would be at the office at about 9 a.m. and I would stay till 9 p.m. usually making calls. Some of the agents see me now, you know, back then they'll laugh. They'll say, well, this guy used to pound the phones, you know, because I understood one thing. It's a law, what they call, I believe it's a law of averages. You know, the more calls you make, the higher the probability of you getting someone. I understood that, you know, Reese, who is the owner of the brokerage, I just copied what he did. And he came in early, he left late. And I just hit the phones, made as many calls as possible. If it took him 10 calls to get 2, and it takes me 100 calls to get 1, I need to make 100 calls. And that's what I had in my head, to try to speak to as many people as possible. Another thing I did that worked for me a lot is social media. If you guys ever see me on social media, I do a lot of social media advertisement where I remember I posted in the Facebook groups, right? Because at this time I was broke. I had no deals, nothing. It's my first maybe month or 2. And I just posted in the Facebook group. I think I went on Fiverr and I got this crappy $5 flyer made with my picture. And if you're thinking of buying, selling, I paid $5 for it. I posted in the group. And this young lady who I actually knew from high school, she inherited a property and she wanted to get it rented. And I remember it was in the middle of winter. I went there, got the listing document signed, and the pipes were broken. Like, I'm telling you, this was literally hell. Pipes were broken. I was showing this with no heat. You know, this was the only lead that I got. Only lead. And, you know, I just kept staying consistent. I pushed, and I eventually got that rented. I made about $3,000. I was able to pay my business card, my MLS dues, etc. And another thing I did was I reached out to loan officers in my area because I had no money for budget. So I had no budget. So I reached out to professionals. I sat down with, you know, a few loan officers. Andre, a gentleman from the Chase Bank here locally, I sat down with him and, you know, I told him, hey, listen, I'm ready to work. The guy that he was working with before, he gave him leads and nothing was going on. I sat down with him. He gave me 2 leads that day. He gave me a buyer and he gave me a seller. Melissa, a buyer, and a gentleman who wanted to sell by the name of Ernesto. And I still remember this. Right? I remember it like it was yesterday. These are the steps. So I you know, started to build a relationship with Andre. I put those 2 people in contract. And to make a long story short, that particular relationship yielded me about $30,000. And within that first year, after Andre giving me leads and so forth, I was able to generate about 30 grand my first year, 30 to 40 grand. And by the second year, I realized if I'm responsible for 100% of my income, if I break my leg, that's a problem. because I'm not able to show homes, no? So I decided to start to recruit, start to build a team. And immediately that second year, I had about 3 agents, and I started to train them the little bit that I knew. I started to give them that information. And, I just continued doing the same thing I was doing, making the calls, reaching out to professionals. And I just duplicated that with the 3 people that I got. And, by the 3rd year, started making some money.
That's awesome, man.
Long story short.
You started building your team in the 2nd year. Not a lot of people do that. So I appreciate that. And now you're also like help leading a brokerage too. So you've got your team, and your sales, and then you've got a brokerage and recruiting people to a brokerage and managing that as well too, right? So, I mean, how do you do all that? I mean, here we are 7 years later. Obviously you've sold a lot of houses, you've met with a lot of agents and learned a lot of things, but how do you juggle having a team, a sales team, and having brokerage responsibilities as well?
And let's not forget family too. So
yes. That's a given. Like, you only have so many hours you can work, right? So because you got to be at home with the family. There's no doubt.
Absolutely. And, as you said before, before we started this, strict schedule. I feel, I operate, my calendar is pretty much my Bible. I'm operating off of a very strict schedule, because what I started to realize when I was doing the entertainment, when I was in the entertainment world as a party promoter, I could sleep until whatever hour. No one cared, right? Because I was just on my own time. The more successful you get, I try to sleep just until 10 o'clock. My phone is going off. I can't sleep. Someone needs me, So I realized, listen, man, either you're going to be successful and you're going to keep yourself organized, or you're going to be forced to. So if I come in at 12 o'clock on any day, my day is all over the place. So I have to be very structured. So I have an appointment time when I meet with people. And then I also have times where I call, do my prospecting, times where I follow up on deals, things of that nature. So I have a very strict calendar.
Awesome. So in your calendar, and regardless what the answer is, do you have, because you've got these responsibilities I'm talking work responsibilities here, like with your team and your sales versus like the brokerage, right? Or the branch of the brokerage that you're running. Do you break that out? Because obviously you're recruiting people, but you're also recruiting agents to your team too, and worrying about the sales of your team. Like, is that broken out, or is it just like, hey, I've got 6 hours today, or maybe I got five appointment slots, and it's going to be this, and this, and I got 2 hours for phone calls, and I'm going to just try to fill it both. What does that look like?
Yeah, it's more of everything together.
Okay.
And we may have I break it down into groups where I have separate meetings with separate groups of agents. We do it in that way with the showing agents. We have a group meeting at a certain time. Another group of the agents, we have a certain meeting at another time. So my leaders, they'll have a certain meeting, etc.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's more effective. And also 9 a.m. every day, we have a coaching call. So that coaching call is usually from 9:30 to 10 a.m. where I'm on that call, and we're basically doing training every day on that particular call, except for Wednesday and the weekends. But pretty much every day at 9 a.m., a Zoom call like this, the agents can jump onto Zoom, and then we're basically doing some coaching on the call. I answer, because, at this point, I have pretty much about over 100 people on the team. So it's very hard, with independent contractors, for me to sit down with everyone at a particular time. So with that 9 a.m. coaching call, what it allows us to do is to now provide social proof where someone's had an accepted offer and they had a closing. We're able to bring that up on the call. So someone who may not be having success, they can now hear, other people having success in the company. We also have time on that call. We take questions where we are addressing all of those questions all together, where other people may have the same questions. And it's just a lot of training that we're doing on that call, but as a group.
Gotcha. Okay. So training every single day. And so that obviously that's a big piece. And I agree, having to run, the responsibilities of multiple things, teams in a branch and in a brokerage. And I know you're doing a lot on social media as well to train other agents and get content out there. You'd be very purposeful about your time. But I love that you're taking time to slow down every single day and teach, right? Teach and train and coach.
Yes.
So that way you can develop the other people around you.
Yes. That's very important because I remember, I meet agents all the time. And a lot of agents tell me, hey, listen, they just recruited me. They put me in front of a computer and they said, close deals. you know what I mean? So it's good when agents can follow someone like me and yourself, with the podcasts and things that you guys are putting out there, where they can jump on and hear information like this and it may resonate with someone and they now start closing a lot of deals. Because it's hard, man, to just in this business where you go into a brokerage, and I've been in sales pretty much my whole life. When I was in high school, I sold cars. And I remember that experience. I came in and everyone seen me as competition. It was hard to survive. So I just try to and I see that you do that yourself, Kevin, is just try to pour into other individuals,
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to, right? Like I had a mentor teach me one time that, at a certain point your organization gets so big, the only way you can affect change anyways is to teach. But there's also the thing of you teach so you get better yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So there's the piece of it. We want to help others, but I get a lot of, and you probably do too. I get a lot of people saying, thank you for teaching. And quite frankly, most of the reason I do it is for me. It makes me better too. I appreciate it, but listen, this isn't like I'm not Mother Teresa. Although I do love to give back and help other people, I also get better every time I do it. And you've obviously figured out that principle too about when it comes to teaching. So that's really cool. So one of the things that we talked about, and you said it in year 2, like you realize, hey, if you broke your leg, like you're not making money that day. And so you realize like I gotta have other people, I gotta have a team if I'm actually gonna make money and turn this into a business. And when we were on the phone, you specifically said, there's not enough people doing that. And so I kind of wanted to let you talk about like, why do you think that is? And how do we change that? How do we make it so more folks in our industry aren't reliant upon what they got to get up and do every single day?
Yeah, I think it's more or less, it could be also mentality, because I speak with some agents, and even when I go to like the continuing ed, and I'm around other brokers, and they're like, hey, you're a good guy for bringing on other agents. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm done with that. I bring on other agents. People have that in their mindset that they don't want to help others, but I feel like it's better to do that where, it's not only for your own success, but other people. And you never know, you may need help one day, and, you helped all of these people. And, the next thing you know, you need the help, and that person who you helped 10 years ago happens to be the person sitting in the other seat.
Yeah, that is so true. And, again, it's one of those things. It's funny how this works in life, right? But it tends to be the more we give and do something for someone else, the more we end up getting from it too. So it's funny how that works. So what are your tips for somebody? Maybe give me your top 2 or 3 tips who's an agent and they're thinking about maybe growing a team or they could see themselves going down that path eventually. Like, what are the things that they need to be thinking about in order to get to that point where they are running a business and it's not just all on them, and they're able to contribute to other people, and in turn, other people can end up contributing to them?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing, I would say to that person who's thinking of doing that is make sure you learn the information first, right? Meaning you can't, if it becomes, if you don't know the information, it becomes the blind leading the blind. I see it happen all the time where, the leader is asking me, hey, how do you fill out listing documents? It's one thing I did do in the beginning is I went to a lot of the MLS continuing education courses. My brokerage was very small at the time, and I seeked the information. I went to when I started going to the MLS courses, and a teacher was saying, I see you here all the time. Is your license expiring? I'm like, oh, I just got started, but I just want to learn as much as I can. So to that future leader out there, I would say, learn as much as you can about, the MLS, the documents, things of that nature. So when you do bring someone on, you're able to help them the right way. Because I see leaders all the time, they recruit all these people, they don't know the information, and they're frustrated because the team is not producing. So you're trying to skip steps. Become great as a real estate agent first, and as you become a great real estate agent, then bring on other people. Sometimes people feel like it's just so great. I'm now the rainmaker, but the rainmaker who knows nothing, so you really want to learn that first, become a top producer yourself. And I feel at that point, as you get too busy, then you start to bring other individuals on.
Yeah.
That's a key piece to it.
Yeah, you nailed that. There's no doubt. I couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah. Because what starts to happen now, if the rainmaker is not producing, now they're frustrated because now you're helping other people. You may not have enough money in the bank, and now you're frustrated, right? So the main thing is you want to build yourself up first, then start to build the team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, I've seen that. Okay, that's the first thing. What's your next one or two tips?
My next tip is really my next tip. So that was my first tip, right? So my next tip is really, as you bring people on, don't just leave them hanging. You really have to focus on training them, and it's really just duplicating yourself all over again. Like I said from the beginning, you're really just giving the agent the information that you know. You want to create another year. If you're closing 20 deals right now, train the agents and help them enough so they can actually start closing 20 deals as well. That's really what you want to do.
Gotcha.
Okay. Another thing, my third, don't build leaders to keep them at the same level. Okay? And that's where I see a lot of leaders go wrong. They're building people, they're trying to build up their team, but there's really no growth in your team. You're keeping your leaders stagnant.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, you got to be a vehicle for them, right? You've got to be able to have, if you're going to go lead leaders, you've got to have a vision and a vehicle that's big enough for them to go out and do what they are capable of doing and what they want to do too, not just what you want them to do or how they could serve you in your business as it looks today.
Absolutely. Because remember, they're not, individuals on your team are not employees. They're independent contractors.
Yep.
Independent contractors are looking for growth and ways that they can make more money. Maybe they start out at a certain position, and then they start to grow gradually to the next level. Because remember, all you're doing here is duplicating yourself.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, so to now, at this point, a lot of my leaders now are starting their own teams. Two of them have gone on to open, sister offices. Elvis, Autumn, they've gone on to manage, two other Fave Realty brokerages who they came directly from my training. So it's really just taking those leaders and really showing them where they can grow. And that's how you really start to really build a huge team,
Awesome, man. I love that. So let me, let's do this real quick. Where can people, so you put out a lot of good stuff on content online. Where should folks look for you, online? Is it like YouTube or Instagram? What's the best place for people to catch up with what you're doing? Yeah,
you can check me out on Instagram at I am Kash-Wayne. So that's I-A-M, Kash-Wayne, K-A-S-H-W-A-Y-N-E. You can also find me on YouTube, Kash-Wayne Campbell on there, and also Facebook, Kash-Wayne Campbell Team directly on there.
Awesome, and we can link to those here in the notes as well. And any parting shots, anything else you want to share with the listeners today, Kash-Wayne? That's whether it's real estate related or not, or just something you feel like you absolutely got to share.
anything else that I absolutely have to share? I mean, the main thing here, guys, is hitting. I would say for the new agent or experienced agents who are listening is really make sure you're not running a roller coaster business. Roller coaster business meaning you're not driving new business into the pipeline as you have things in contract. Focus on hitting the phones and try to put more things in the pipeline. Because often I see a lot of agents not filling the pipeline as they have things in contract. They have 6 things in contract, all those 6 close, now that's it. So just try to, just level out. So try to always fill the pipeline. That's something that we don't hear a lot. It's probably just like a random thing here, but I definitely want you guys to really focus on that. It's really keeping that pipeline full. That's how we make money at the end of the day.
Awesome. Well, hey, Kash-Wayne, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us today on this podcast. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I look forward to catching up with you again soon, my man.
Definitely. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
All right. We'll talk soon. Next Level listeners, have a great day, and we'll see you soon.